The breakfast shift at Magnolia's Cafe in Savannah, Georgia started at 5:30 in the morning, which meant that Anna Briggs was always awake by 4:15, always out the door by 5, and always the first server through the back entrance before the cook had finished his first cup of coffee. She had been doing this for 4 years, since she was 23 and newly arrived in Savannah from a small town in coastal Georgia called Darien, where the options had been limited and the horizon had felt permanently low. Savannah had felt like possibility when she arrived. It still felt like possibility most mornings. She was just still waiting for the possibility to become something specific. Magnolia's was not a fancy place. It was the kind of cafe that existed in the older neighborhoods of southern cities: wide front windows, mismatched chairs, a chalkboard menu that changed with whatever was fresh, and the particular smell of biscuits and dark roast coffee that settled into the walls of a place over decades and became its character. The owner was a woman named Bette Simmons, who was 67 and had run the cafe for 31 years and who treated Anna with the straightforward affection of someone who recognized a hard worker and did not believe in excessive sentimentality about it. Bette paid fairly, scheduled honestly, and once had told Anna during a slow Tuesday afternoon that she reminded her of herself at that age, which Anna had not known whether to take as a compliment or a warning. Anna was 27. She had her mother's dark eyes and her father's height, 5'8", and she wore her dark brown hair in a practical braid that she pinned at the nape of her neck before every shift. She had completed 2 years of a graphic design program at Savannah College of Art and Design before the money ran out, not abruptly, but in the way money runs out when you are paying for everything yourself, gradually and then completely. The gap between what was coming in and what was needed, becoming too wide to maintain the fiction that it was manageable. She had left the program with 2 years of skill and no credential, and had been telling herself for 4 years that she would go back when the time was right, which was the same thing as telling herself she would go back when she stopped being afraid that she had already missed the window. She was good at design. She knew she was good at design, the way you know you are good at something when people around you who have no reason to flatter you tell you so, without being asked. She designed the seasonal menus for Magnolia's on her laptop in the evenings. Bet paid her a small additional amount for this, and she had designed the logo for a neighbor's bakery and the signage for a barbershop 2 streets over, and each time someone saw her work and asked who had done it, she felt something open briefly in her chest before she remembered that opening and doing were different things. The Tuesday morning in March when the man came in was a slow morning. Savannah in early March had the tentative quality of a season that has not fully committed, warm, enough for shirt sleeves by afternoon but cool and gray in the mornings, the Spanish moss in the squares still holding the winter damp. Anna had 3 tables occupied at 7:15, a pair of nurses finishing their shift at the hospital 3 blocks away who came in every Tuesday and ordered the same thing every Tuesday and tipped 20%. Without variation, an elderly man who read the physical newspaper and nursed a single coffee for 90 minutes and left $2 regardless of how long he'd sat, and a young mother with a toddler who required the particular kind of patient, cheerful attention that Anna had developed into something close to art. The man came through the door at 7:23. She noted the time later because she had been looking at the clock. For an unrelated reason, he was somewhere in his late 50s. Not tall, not short, the kind of average height that becomes invisible in rooms, unless something else draws your attention. And in his case, the thing that drew attention was a quality of stillness. He moved through the cafe without hesitation, chose the corner table by the window without looking around first, and sat with the organized composure of someone who had been in many different rooms and was comfortable in all of them. He wore a plain gray button-down shirt and dark slacks and the kind of reading glasses that live in a shirt pocket, which he did not take out. He carried nothing, no bag, no briefcase, no phone visible. Anna crossed the room. "Good morning," she said. "What can I get started for you?" He looked up at her. His eyes were pale blue, and they were the kind of eyes that paid attention without making the attention feel like assessment. "Coffee," he said. Black, and whatever your cook does best this morning. It was a question she liked because it was honest. Shrimp and grits, she said. He makes it with tasso ham and a tomato cream sauce. It's the best thing we serve. He nodded once. That. She brought him his coffee and he thanked her and she left him to it. She watched him. In the peripheral and professional way, she watched all her tables over the following 30 minutes. He drank his coffee slowly. He did not take out a phone. He looked out the window at the Savannah street, where the morning was beginning to organize itself and dog walkers, a delivery truck, the slow waking of a neighborhood with the particular quality of someone who finds the ordinary world genuinely interesting. When the shrimp and grits arrived, he looked at the bowl with brief, appreciative attention before eating, and he ate in the unhurried way of someone who had learned, somewhere along the line, that meals deserved to be treated as meals. He asked for nothing during the meal. When Anna came to check on him, he shook his head once, pleasantly, and she left him alone. At 8:10, she set the check on the table. He picked it up, looked at the total, $14.20, and set it back down. He reached into his shirt pocket and removed, not a wallet, but a folded piece of paper and a single business card, which he placed on top of the check. Then he stood, straightened his shirt, looked out the window once more, and walked to the door and out into the Savannah morning without looking back. Anna crossed to the table. No cash, no card, the check folder sitting with what he had left on top of it. Her first thought, she would admit later, was that the man had walked out without paying, which had happened twice in her 4 years at Magnolia's, and which she had paid out of her own tips both times, because that was how Bet handled it. Her second thought, arriving immediately behind the first, was that something about this felt different, deliberate rather than forgetful, intentional rather than absent. She picked up the business card first. It was a clean, simple card, heavy stock, embossed letters. The name was James Whitfield. Beneath the name, Whitfield Creative Group, Atlanta, Georgia. And beneath that, a title, founder and creative director, a phone number and an email address. She set it down and picked up the folded paper. It was a single sheet folded in thirds, the kind of fold you use for a formal letter, and when she opened it, the handwriting inside was small and precise, the handwriting of someone who had learned it when penmanship was still a subject. I came into your cafe this morning because my car needed 20 minutes at a garage 2 streets over and I had time to fill. I ordered what your cook does best because I have learned that is always the correct question. But what I noticed, which I was not expecting to notice, was the menu on your chalkboard. I've been in this industry for 30 years. I know design when I see it, and I know instinct when I see it, and whoever designed that menu has both. The hierarchy of information, the way the typography balances the illustration in the corner, the choice to leave white space where another designer would have filled it. These are not accidents. These are decisions made by someone who understands that design is about directing attention, not filling it. I asked the woman at the register who had designed it. She pointed at you. I'm enclosing my card. My company works with restaurants, hospitality brands, and food and beverage companies across the Southeast. We are currently looking for a junior art director. The position is based in Atlanta, but has significant remote flexibility. It requires someone with design instinct and an understanding of the hospitality world. I have been looking for this person for 4 months. I do not know your name or your story or your training. I know a chalkboard menu that someone made with real thought. Call the number on the card this week if you are interested in a conversation. If not, I hope whoever you are keeps making beautiful things. J. Whitfield. Pusan, the shrimp and grits were exceptional. Your cook should know. Anna stood at the corner table by the window in Magnolia's Cafe in Savannah, Georgia at 8:13 in the morning with a letter in her hand and a business card on the table in front of her, and she was very still for a moment in the way that a person is still when something has just happened that they do not yet have the full vocabulary for. She looked at the chalkboard menu on the far wall. She had designed it 3 weeks ago on a Saturday afternoon, sitting at her kitchen table with her laptop and a cup of tea, and she had spent longer on it than Bet's. Additional payment technically warranted because she could not leave. It had merely adequate when she could see what it could be. The small illustration in the corner, a magnolia branch, simple and specific, had taken her 45 minutes to get right. She had not told anyone this. She had simply done it and put it up and gone back to her shift. Bet appeared from the kitchen doorway. "Everything okay over there?" Anna looked up. "He didn't leave a tip," she said. Bet raised an eyebrow. "Or pay the check," Anna added. Bet began moving toward the table with the particular expression of a woman who has seen every variety of human behavior in 31 years of restaurant ownership and is not surprised by any of it. Anna held out the letter. Bet read it standing at the corner table. She read it slowly, which was not her usual way with things, and when she finished, she looked at Anna over the top of the paper with an expression that was complicated in the way of expressions that contain more than one feeling simultaneously. Pride in something adjacent to loss and something adjacent to the satisfaction of a person who has been watching a thing build toward its conclusion and recognizes the arrival. "Go call him," Bet said. "It's 8 in the morning. "Then call him at 9, Bet said. "And in the meantime, go tell Raymond his shrimp and grits were exceptional, because a man drove from Atlanta this morning, and that's the most useful feedback Raymond has received this year." Anna laughed. It was a real laugh, the kind that comes unexpectedly when you are inside a moment too large to be fully serious about. She called James Whitfield on Thursday morning from her apartment, sitting at the kitchen table where she had designed the chalkboard menu, with her laptop open to her portfolio. 4 years of freelance work and personal projects in the designs she had made for no one but herself at 3 in the morning, when the ideas came and she could not make them. He answered on the second ring. The conversation lasted 55 minutes. He asked her about her training, and she told him about the 2 years at SCAD, and the money running out, and the 4 years since, and he listened without the quality of listening that is actually waiting to respond, but with the quality that is actually taking things in. He told her about the position, and what it required and what it offered, and she asked questions that came from the real part of her that understood what the work was, not the part that was nervous about the conversation. By the end of the 55 minutes, he had asked her to send her portfolio, and she had sent it before they hung up. He called back the following Monday. The offer was a junior art director position at $64,000 a year. Full benefits with the remote flexibility he had mentioned in the letter. She could work from Savannah 3 weeks of 4 and be in the Atlanta office 1 week per month. He said the chalkboard menu had been the thing, but the portfolio was the confirmation, and that there was a particular project brief he was going to send her as a trial assignment, no obligation, just to see how she approached a problem, and that the formal offer would follow the trial, but that he was not anticipating the trial would change his mind. It did not change his mind. She gave Bet 3 weeks' notice, which was a week more than necessary because Bet had given her 4 years of fair treatment and because Anna was not a person who left things incomplete. Bet received the news with the same quality of complicated expression she had shown at the corner table, proud in something adjacent to loss, and said that she had known since the chalkboard menu that this was a matter of time, which she delivered with the satisfaction of someone who has been right about something for a while. On her last shift, Anna redesigned the chalkboard menu one final time. Not because it needed redesigning, but because she wanted to leave. Bet something made with the full version of what she had, not the version that had been operating at a fraction of its context. She spent her Saturday afternoon on it, the last Saturday before she transitioned to the new work, and when she put it up, Betta stood in front of it for a long time without saying anything. Then she said, "Raymond, come look at this." And Raymond, the cook who had been making shrimp and grits for 20 years, came out from the kitchen and looked at it and said, "That's something," which from Raymond was the equivalent of a standing ovation. The man who had left no tip and no words had paid $14.20 worth of shrimp and grits and a letter, and what he had given her in the space of a single quiet breakfast was not a job or a salary or even the opening of a door. It was the specific and irreplaceable gift of being seen doing something real and having someone say, "I see what you're doing, and it's enough." Anna Briggs drove to Atlanta on the 1st of April, which she noted with private amusement was a date that carried its own commentary on the riskiness of beginning things. She drove with her design laptop and her portfolio in the business card in the center console of her car, and she arrived at Whitfield Creative Group's offices in the afternoon and walked in and began. She never forgot the chalkboard menu. She kept a photograph of it on her phone, not as a record of where she had been, but as a record of the specific truth that had always been there, waiting under the ordinary surface of the work she was doing, patient and complete, until the morning a man ordered the best thing on the menu and looked up at a wall and recognized it, which was the only thing in the end that any of it had required someone to look up.